Hello everyone, welcome to the guided notes video on a review of factoring polynomials. When you're factoring a polynomial, the first thing you should do is look for a greatest common factor. That is going to make your life a whole lot easier when it comes to trying to solve a polynomial. So if there are two terms, look for a greatest common factor, and then if you've got a difference of two squares, then it's pretty simple. It's going to be the same terms, x8, and the signs are different, minus, plus. Same thing here, 18m squared times n minus 2n cubed. I can factor out a 2n, and on the inside I've got 9m squared minus n squared. So 2n goes on the outside, that's our greatest common factor, and then I've got a difference of two squares here, so signs are plus, minus, and the square root of 9m is 3m, 9m squared is 3m, and the square root of n squared is n, so it's 3m plus n, and 3m should be minus n. And there you have it. If you have three terms, also known as a trinomial, first find the factors of c, and you want them to add up to b. So this is the product sum method that we've been working on and using from the very beginning of the school year, and that you should know from Algebra 1. This is x times x will give me x squared, and what two numbers will multiply to negative 42 and sum to negative 1? That's negative 7 and positive 6. Okay, sometimes I can have a greatest common factor, like a 2, and then I'll end up with w squared plus 10w plus 25. Again, finding a greatest common factor just means that you're working with smaller numbers that are a little bit more within reach for most of us. Let's see, w, product sum, two numbers that multiply to 25 and sum to 10. That's 5 and 5, and the signs are the same, and they're both positive. Now, I can have a trinomial where I have a leading coefficient out in front, like 30. Okay, I'm going to greatest common factor. It looks like I can take out a 3. And then in the parentheses, I get 10x squared minus 9x plus 2. This is where now a factor by grouping comes in. What I'm going to do is split the middle term by figuring out what two numbers will multiply to, again, the product of a times c. So I want a product of 20 and a sum of negative 9. Two numbers that multiply to 20 and sum to negative 9, that's negative 5 and negative 4. That 9 gets split up into those two factors. And then I can use factor by grouping. So what I do with factor by grouping, pause on this one, I'll show you up here, is I split the term, the four-term statement into two sets of 2, and I'm going to factor out a squared on one side and get 2a minus b on the left, and then factor out what 10a and 5b have in common. They have a 2 in common, and factor out 5a minus b. This is where the grouping part comes in. I've got a squared plus 2, and I've got whoopsies. Oh, I should be able to factor out a 5 and then get a 2 in there. So then I've got a squared plus 5 and 2a minus b. I recognize that I had made a mistake because I should have the same thing inside both sets of parentheses. That's where the grouping part comes in. Okay, so now we go back to this 4-term polynomial. I created a 3-term polynomial and split the middle term into 4 so that I could factor by grouping. The 3, which was the greatest common factor, just comes down, and inside these parentheses I've got a 5x in common, and then I can get 2x minus 1, and here I've got a negative 2 in common, and when I do that I've got a 2x minus 1. So what I end up with here is 3 parentheses 5x minus 2 times parentheses 2x minus 1. Okay, there are more notes on factor by grouping in another video. For now, these are the techniques for factoring polynomials. First, find a greatest common factor. If it's 2 terms, look for the difference of 2 squares. If it's 3 terms, it's a trinomial, so you can factor either with product sum or factor by grouping this slip and slide, slip the 3 out, and then slide the middle term into 2 pieces, factor by grouping when it becomes a 4-term polynomial. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.